Welcome to the Bettendorf Public Library's Take-Home Workshop. Today, we're going to be making string stamps. So these are simple stamps that you can make using supplies that you'll find probably in your own home. And we're going to be using them to make a custom gift wrap. The gift wrap we make, you can make it any color, you can make it any design, so it's all going to be customizable to you. The other nice thing is that it is also completely recyclable. In your kit, you're going to find squares of cardboard. These will be the base for our stamps. You'll find some string. This is a cotton string, so it does get a little fray, and if you want to seal your ends with some glue, you can. You won't be able to melt this. This is a cotton string, so it'll just burn instead of melt, so don't try that. This is food coloring. So you can do your stamps with, when you ink your stamps, you can do that with stamp pads, you can do it with paint or other things. We're using food coloring, at least in part, is because this is something that most of us have in our home already. And so if you're in a last minute crunch and you need some gift wrap, you can do it with this. And you have a glue stick, and you have a big thing of paper. Ideally, we wouldn't have had to fold the paper, but we had to fit it into your pack. So it does have some folds, which is fine. It will still work just fine. What we're asking you to supply is a pencil, a pin or thumbtack or some other sharp object, and a pair of scissors. So these are the supplies that you need. As you can see, most of this is stuff that you'll probably have around your house already. So you can do this anytime. Let's get started. Our first step is going to be to do our design. And I gave you 3 different squares of cardboard so that you could do either 3 different designs if you want, or 3 versions of the same design. So I'm going to do scroll work or curlicues on all of mine, but different sizes and facing different directions. And I'm just going to sketch them on there lightly. You don't want your lines to be too close together because of the thickness of the string. If they get too close together, then your 2 strings, the strings will be butting up next to each other. So if I did a really tight spiral like this, your strings are going to be right next to each other. You would still be able to see some of that on the stamp, but you'll get less definition. So that's one of them. I'm going to do another one that is just kind of the same thing, but different direction. Nope, that's the same direction, isn't it? I'm going to go like this. Let's just do another one that just looks a little different. Okay. I'm going to take my string and I'm going to measure out, just by laying it down there roughly, how much I'm going to need for the stamp. So just to get a rough estimate. And I do that because it's just easier to work with a smaller piece of string than with a full 2 yards. Take my glue stick and I'm going to very thoroughly cover this. The glue stick is nice, and I like the purple glue sticks because you can see exactly where your glue is. The glue stick is nice because it dries pretty quickly. So we're going to start, I'm twisting my end so that it lays down nice and tight. I'm going to start there, and then we just lay it down along the design. A little pressure as we go. And if your glue starts to dry, or it looks like it's starting to dry, just give it another little hit. I'm going to keep going around. And I measured, actually I did a pretty good job. Just like that. Now I'm going to set that one aside and I'm going to do my next ones. So those are my stamps done, and you can see that this first one I did, it's almost dry all the way now. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that one. I have my paper laid out and I'm going to open up my food coloring. So food coloring can be a little messy, can stain skin and clothes, so you want to be careful with that. So we have it encased in these straws. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the red. And I'm just going to take my pin and I'm going to poke a hole in the straw here. And work it around a little bit so that it's a good size hole. And that way you can control the flow. And I'm just going to squeeze it out onto the string. And I'm just dabbing it on there as I go. If you have ink pads at home, those work really well for this. You just take your ink pad and pat it on there. If your food coloring starts coming out too fast and blobs up like that, you can let it go. It will eventually soak into the string, or you can use a paper towel or something else that's absorbent. I'm just using a little scrap of my and soak it up that way. I'm going to have stained fingers. You can use gloves if you want. I don't have a problem with having stained fingers. That's how you know you're a crafter. And then you just press it down and it comes through. It is always surprising to me how many stamps you can get out of a single application. Of food coloring. So you can see this one, you can get the definition of the string a little bit more than this one. So the more you do, the more definition of the string you get, which I like. I think that's a kind of a cool look. Get the scissors on. I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm going to, that's the wrong color. I'm going to re-ink it. And keep going. And I'm just turning this around a little bit every time. So that I'm getting a different angle on my curly cue. But again, you don't have to do a curly cue. You can do any design you want. So a couple things you want to be careful about. You want to be careful about drips. You want to be careful that when you pick up your card, you pick it up firmly so that you don't drop it, because otherwise you're going to get a double image like that one. Again, not the end of the world if you do that. Depends on, I guess, how much of a perfectionist you are. So that's our red. Let's do some blue next. I'm just going to repeat. Lost my pin. We're going to repeat the same thing. So a word about the paper we're using. The paper that we're using is just a plain artist paper. It actually comes in big rolls. It's the same kind of paper that you would use like for a kid's art easel. So there's no coating on it. I've done it with freezer paper. My first attempts were with freezer paper, and that works. But freezer paper, if you do it on the non-waxed side, freezer paper is not recyclable because of that wax coating or plastic coating or whatever it is. And I'm always on the lookout for things that can be reused, or recycled. So there's our blue. Let's try some yellow. So once you've stamped everything and it is to your satisfaction, then you just set this aside and let it dry. And it doesn't take very, very long to dry. But once it's dry, then you can go ahead and you can use it as a wrapping paper. Any colors, any design, and you will always have recyclable custom gift wrap. We'd love to see your gift wrap. We'd love to see your prints. So please share them with us on social media. And our thanks to the Bettendorf Public Library Foundation and Quad City Bank and Trust for sponsoring this take-home workshop.